Welcome back to Nerdrotic, everybody. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And this is just a what the hell live stream. I took yesterday off, the last 2 days off, because of the situation with Anna, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And I just want to start out by saying thank you to that very toxic fandom menace who came together and raised upwards of $30,000 for her funeral expenses, for Ellen's funeral expenses. And now I'm not really going to go into the situation. It's been talked about a lot. And, you know, Anna will tell us things when she decides to do that. And I think right now we should just kind of give her space and just send our prayers and our thoughts and our good vibes to her family going through this very tough time. But although we did not get the result we would like from this situation, the fandom menace came together, and you should all be really proud of yourselves. I could not be more proud to be loosely affiliated with such fine and admirable people. So applaud yourselves, and definitely don't stop sending Anna your love, because there's not enough of it. You can't send enough of it. And I'm sure she loves to hear it. And I'm sure it helps to know that she's got this very large extended family. And I also want to thank Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, who did heroic work with this. And I also want to thank my friend John F. Trent for putting an article in Bounding into Comics. And just everybody came together, and it was brilliant. And a lot of people noticed, and that's not why we did it. Okay. And it's back to business now. It's back to business. And we will always keep Anna in our thoughts during this time. So I just got back from Spider-Man. I just saw it with Nerdrotic Jr. We were wearing matching shirts today. And it wasn't it's better. And we're going to talk about other things, by the way. Before I get in this, we're going to talk a little bit about Spider-Man. I'll keep it spoiler free. I have a review coming out that's kind of spoiler free at the first part. Then at the end, I talk some spoilers. There's some interesting spoilers in it, but we're definitely going to talk about a Fathom event that I saw prior to Spider-Man that really perked my ears up and really exemplifies what's going on with Hollywood right now. And it's basically a Time's Up documentary. And I will share that with you in a bit. And it's not really what it's about. It's what they said in the trailer really answers any question we ever had of why Hollywood is dividing fandoms right now, which they are doing deliberately. So let's start out with Spider-Man. Again, this will be spoiler free, so don't worry, and try not to put spoilers in the chat, please. I thought it was okay. I give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. Nerdrotic Jr. gives it a solid 5 out of 10. Nerdrotic Jr. hates Peter Parker being basically what his words were, a lackey to Tony Stark. He is used to the fiercely independent Peter Parker. He's a bit of a Spider-Man purist, so I have raised my son right, in my opinion. And yeah, he doesn't like all the tech. He doesn't like him relying on Tony Stark, and that's no secret, and everybody knows that from Homecoming. This certainly was an improvement on Homecoming. And now my feelings on Homecoming, it's one of the worst MCU films. I'm not a fan of it at all. And I'm a bit of a Spider-Man purist too. He was for the most part of my life my favorite character in anything. They've done so much damage to him in the comics, though, I kind of had to let it go, like we're doing with all these franchises right now, which really sucks, by the way. But that's the only way I could, after Dan Slott's run in the comics and what Quesada did, and, making Straczynski do what he had to do, it sucks. But this version of Spider-Man we're getting is Disney/Sony Spider-Man. And I know you guys feel like you've seen a lot of Spider-Man on the screen, but you've never seen the true comic book one. The closest one you've gotten is Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi in Spider-Man 2, which is still by far the best Spider-Man movie. I would put this one I would call this the third best. I'm not counting animated or anything like that, but live action, I would say this will be the third best one. You know, Spider-Man 2 being the best Spider-Man, and then this one, but there's a big gap between that. I kind of just thought it was a kind of a forgettable film. The emotional impact that we were expecting from being what was marketed as a Marvel Phase 3 epilogue, I didn't get, honestly. You saw pretty much everything about that in the trailers. The trailers, again, showed way too much stuff. There's only a couple of scenes with Mysterio that they left out that were interesting and that have some pretty cool Easter eggs in them, which I will not discuss, but I'm sure you're going to catch one of them, which was cool as hell. The end credit scenes are good. One is amazingly cool, and the other one, I won't even say. You'll just figure it out at the end. It just, yeah, it kind of shows how they're dealing with their continuity, which they kind of started with Captain Marvel being a little loose with it. I'm saying they're continuing that a little bit, unfortunately. So we'll see where it goes. This is the last MCU Spider-Man unless there's a new deal. This was it. So we will see. The trailers are filled with spoilers, absolutely filled with them. So, but I can talk about just how I felt about the movie. It was boring in parts. There's some teenage lovey-dovey stuff, which in the beginning is kind of funny, and then it gets a little old. A lot of jokes don't land at all with me. Tom Holland is better in this. He's less cryy. He likes to cry in his stuff now, but this is probably his best performance since Civil War, and he did good in Infinity War too. But it's still not. It's Spider Boy. It's not Spider-Man. I want to see Spider-Man. And like he's supposed to be a teenager. You could tell like he aged a lot in this. By the way, he's starting to look like he doesn't have the voice for it. I don't know if he ever will, but Jake, is it Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal? I never know, and I don't really care that much. He was pretty good as Mysterio, and I think they wasted the Elementals on some possible Spidey villains. And again, there's a lot of scenes you see in the trailer that aren't in the film at all. And I think Spider-Man, still kind of establishing himself in the MCU, whether it continues or not. I would rather see him zipping around New York, Queens, than being in Europe. It was funny seeing his flight to Italy, which was very similar to my flight to Italy, and it was long. But there were good scenes. The action was pretty good. They did get the Spider-Man effects not perfectly down, but it's better. It's much better. And yeah, everything is an improvement on Homecoming, but if you're just looking to go to a movie and kind of turn your brain off and have a little fun, yeah, it's not woke at all. So I'll say that there's zero woke in it. So thank you for that. So I think a lot of people will enjoy it. The one thing I found interesting, and I think this movie is going to make tons of money. So don't let me sound like I'm insinuating it's not, but I felt it was, and this is probably because it's in too many theaters. I went to the Barca Lounger Theater where the Dolby one, where I get to pick my seat. I'm in my big comfy chair with my kid, and it was empty. I think there was 30 of us in there. Again, it looked like Dark Phoenix. Now, I'm not saying at all that it's going to be a bomb. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the theater I was in the middle of summer, in the fourth largest media market in the country, was empty. Maybe because it was in too many theaters. We're going to find out. We're going to find out how the legs of the MCU right now. We're going to find out like how far this thing is going. I find it interesting that there was a lot of studios that backed out of Comic-Con last minute, by the way, and they're filling Hall H with like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Star Trek Discovery. And it's starting to kind of look like the old days where you would get, some sci-fi show there to be the big deal, which I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. But there's no Sony presence. There's no Warner Brothers presence at Comic-Con. And I see an empty theater. I see Dark Phoenix flopping. Swamp Thing getting canceled. I'm just wondering what's up. Is this thing coming to an end? I don't know. I don't think so. The Expanse is going to be at Comic-Con, and they're going to have a full immersive experience with the boys. Amazon Prime is coming there to play, and I am looking forward to that, and I will give you guys all the video. I will be in the Star Trek Discovery panel because I think, for one, it'll be very easy to get in Hall H, because I don't think Hall H is usually packed. You have to get there early and wait, but considering the lineup right now, I'm not too worried about getting in. And yeah, supposedly, things could change, but Jeremy's going to be down. So me and Jeremy are going to be causing trouble down there. So overall, yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home, 6 or 7 out of 10. Would I want to see it again? Not really. Would I own it on 4K Blu-ray? Maybe if it's discounted. Would I recommend somebody go pay full price and see it? No. I say go see a matinee showing, which are still pretty expensive. I went to a matinee showing. It was $14. Yeah, it was $14. So I don't know how cheap that is. But let's get to, got a couple super chats here, and then we'll get to you guys in the chat. And again, this is like a last, I was planning on streaming today. I don't know if I'm going to keep it up on the channel. If I don't, keep in mind that all of my live streams, even if they get unlisted, you can find them at nerdrotic.com the next day. They will all be there, and they turn into podcasts. So you can listen to it as a podcast if you like. I'm even working on some theme music for the audio stuff, so I won't get hit with copyright strikes on that. So Hiroshi Score for 50 Mexican dollars. Greetings. This just shows how ephemeral we all are, and we just I can't read, sorry, and just why we should be kind to each other regardless of differences. Yes, when the chips are down, I think, at least here's my perspective. When I am calling out Hollywood wokeness, or if I'm telling you like what's wrong with Game of Thrones season 8, that is fun for me. I mean, it's no different than a sports ball fan, talking shit about the other team, or breaking down the game. And I used to be a huge football fan. It's no difference at all, but there's no like actual hate behind it. It's just sparring. That's all it is. So I think a lot of people who on the other side take it far too seriously, internalize way too much of it, and they're not seeing that a lot of it's tongue in cheek. But with the Hollywood wokeness and them dividing the fans, that's pretty serious, and we're going to get into that because it's not unlike the situation that's happening here in Silicon Valley. I don't want to state it out loud because the last time I did, my channel just got the brakes put on it. But you know what I'm talking about, a certain behind the scenes footage that caught a certain major search company with their pants down. Well, Hollywood is just coming out and admitting it, quite frankly. There was a trailer for a Time's Up thing, which I'm going to play for you guys, and you're going to hear the beginning of it, and it tells you everything you need to know and what's behind this fundamental change behind our franchises, and in particular, who is behind it. Because while it is multiple people, I think the driving force is Bad Robot. I think Bad Robot is bad, and I think they are aptly named. Unhinged Crank for $10 saw Men in Black International with a friend today. Talk about meh. It didn't get the mythology origins and the comic it didn't get the mythology origins and the comic roots. You don't know they exist, and they can't even identify gender, just a human-like form. Yeah. They put zero thought into it, and actually Midnight's Edge did a pretty damn good video on what happened. Basically, Sony stopped caring once they saw that they had minimized their risk of losing any money. This is Tom Rothman's modus operandi. He runs Sony, so now he is involved with Spider-Man. This guy is terrible for genre. He hates genre. He likes it when it makes money and it's cheap, but he never cares if it's good or not. He is like the anti Kevin Feige. And you all know, like Tom Rothman's behind Superman Returns getting ruined because Bryan Singer went over to direct it because he wasn't directing X-Men 3 because of Tom Rothman. Bryan Singer is, actually Bryan Singer's worse than Tom Rothman. Don't get me wrong, as a person. But Tom Rothman's just cheap as far as we know, and abusive. It's funny that I can't even believe in the current environment that guy's got a job because his reputation is bad, is really bad. These are just things I hear. Oh, what's up? Quarter Black Garrett. What is up, my friend, for $9.99? Quarter Black Garrett, everybody, from Steven Crowder. And I'm sorry again for what you guys are going through. And I don't know if you caught this trailer. As a matter of fact, now that you're here, I'll read your super chat and I'll play it for you. It's short. Maybe after entertainment collapse, we will get good content again. How likely do you think the collapse is? Garrett, a year ago, I didn't think it was even possible. 6 months ago, I didn't think it was even possible. And I'm not saying, I'm saying now it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but considering that people are really not going to movies anymore, there's a lot of factors involved that aren't the politics, but as with Marvel Comics, they were dying by 1,000 paper cuts already with Diamond and the retailers, but then the straw that broke the camel's back was just SJW Marvel. It's undeniable. People still don't want to talk about it. Whatever. Okay, fine. Don't talk about it as you are in the unemployment line and you have to go out and get a real job because you can't draw and write comics anymore because you decided to inject your personal politics into it, take all the fun out of it, and then wonder what happened. That's my favorite part. And I think one of the big turns, your boy Zach, I think, did a video. A lot of people did a video on Cena Grace, his exit interview from Marvel, calling them cowards. And I think it was an interview where he realized he was just used. And I hope a lot of our gay friends and friends who are, considered minorities and stuff realize that you're being used. And you're being used to divide people, and they're hiding behind it. So they're using the thing they use the most right now is we need to hear other voices. Well, nobody that I associate with or here in the Fandom Menace wants to silence a voice. Period. Nobody wants a certain type of politics injected into that. We want this stuff free or neutral or just be fair. But that's not what's happening now. And again, they're not hiding it. So I'm going to get to a couple super chats, but let's play the beginning of this trailer that made me almost choke on my kettle corn. And I know you guys, a lot of you guys are going to, and gals are going to hear it and go, yeah, duh, I know that. But it's kind of like when the Access Media admitted they were the Access Media. You hear something out loud, you see something, it's a lot different. So you guys can hear my mic. Here we go. It's a Fathom event. And I'm thinking about going to watch this. I don't know if I can because Comic-Con, but all right. So let me get my volume up here and just listen to the beginning of the trailer. Oh, and let me preface this by stating the obvious. Nobody wants to silence female voices. No one wants to silence women's voices. I'm married. Have you ever tried? Come on.
Media has the power to educate, to shape people's thoughts. Women are given so few.
So, did you catch that? Because it happens right at the beginning. I'm going to play it again. So 3, 2, 1.
Media has the power to educate, to shape people's thoughts. Women are given so few opportunities to feel inspired by the female characters. We have to decide together that it's enough. The door has to be open. We're shaping perspectives around the world. What's good for women is good for everybody.
Shaping perspectives around the world. And if you can't catch it because it's in the beginning and now my dogs are barking, it says media. That's the first word they use. So
media has the power to educate, to shape people's thoughts.
Media has the power to educate and shape people's thoughts. That's what they're doing right now. This is a coordinated strike on fandom, and they're using very innocent stuff like Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars to divide us. And they don't care about the division because they see it as, well, we're getting to the people we want to get to, and those other people really aren't people we want around anyway. They're garbage humans. That gets used by the likes of Mark Wade. What I would consider that a little projection, in my opinion, because you have to be a really particular type of human being to want to keep somebody from making a comic book. All right. Which he did to your boy Zach, which is foul beyond belief. Foul beyond belief. And what I listen, I hope he loses that case. That is my hope. I don't pray, but if I did, I'd pray for that. For those of you who do, because I think that would be a huge win for fandom. And there's a couple cases out there. Anas Abdeen would be a win for the independent creator. Because if Anas loses, what's to stop, especially Alex Kurtzman out there, when he runs out of ideas, what's to stop him from, or his crew, to just trolling Steam and borrowing somebody's life's work? Taking, in my opinion. Yeah, like that one fires me up. I get so freaking mad about that. Yeah, so hey, Quarter Black Garrett, thanks for being here. You freaking rock, dude, and we need to talk. We definitely need to talk. Daniel for $5. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, not the other way around. No Uncle Ben, no MJ, no Gwen, no JJ. Without that stuff, he is just a generic superhero in a suit. You're absolutely right, Daniel. And there is an MJ though, but it's not our MJ. And I call her Zenyatta Mandata because I don't know her name, but it's a very good Police album. She did a better job in this. She's not. I think they made a concerted effort, to be honest with you, to make her less political. She wears a shirt that says "Vote Women" in the beginning, but that's it. She doesn't make any. Actually, all her comments are conspiratorial, and they're actually kind of funny. So they made a very concerted effort to make her less political, and I think that's good. It's a sign of something good. She's still not MJ. She's not my MJ, and and they also, God, if I can get once you guys have all seen it, we need to talk about the two scenes that they did not put in the movie. There's a ton of Easter eggs in those and foreshadowing, and we do need to talk about them, because if they're going to do what I think they're going to do with this MJ, we got a problem. We got a serious problem. And yeah. Peter Davison, Australian $2. Australian $2. If one doesn't take offense, none can be given. And that's why you are here, for wisdom, my friend, for wisdom. Thank you. Dakota Diesel for $10. What's up, Dakota Diesel? Remember how everyone was saying we should write our own content and innovate? Well, I did. Can I plug my sci-fi horror book? Yes, of course you can. USS Salvation. The chat does not. Oh, yes. So, yeah, you can't put links in my chat, but I can. Where is it? Just tell me where it is, and I can link it in. Yeah, only my moderators can put in links. That is it. And there's a reason for that. Those porn bots have been going crazy lately. But Dakota, yeah, why don't you pop in the chat? I'll keep an eye on it and tell me where it is. Is it on Indiegogo, Amazon, something like that? And I'll pop up the link right now. No problem. Johnny Midnight, and he spells the night like a night. Check out AMC A-List, $20 a month, and you can see 3 movies a week. That's pretty good. I see 2 a week, with which comes out about $2.50 a film, which includes IMAX. That's great. That's a good deal. I just don't go to movies that much anymore. I'd rather watch TV, or honestly, what I watch now is live streams. That's my go-to. I see if somebody else is live streaming, and I check that out. And there usually is. And of course, we have the late night viewing with like Nick Rekieta, and EVS will pop in at night as well. Tamarocks with the $300 super chat. Tamarocks, thank you. My God. I know this is unrelated, but I've been really enjoying Legion season 3. Noah Hawley is so amazing, in my opinion. I haven't seen the second episode yet. I know I was gonna cover that, but and I'll probably pick it up on Nerdrotic Live next week. There was something that happened in the first episode that kind of took me out of it, and it was a brief woke moment, but I'm like so over it. I'm so over just any wokeness in anything right now. Drives me nuts. But the rest of the episode was good. It was just a moment. So I'm going to go back and check it out, because the first 2 seasons of Legion kick ass. They're great. Tamarocks, thank you so much. You're brilliant. That goes right back into the channel. And because Hangouts on the Air is going to be going away, I'm going to have to get a new machine and some streaming software and a new camera so I can have guests on, because as it looks right now, there is no replacement for Hangouts on the Air. There is a Google Meet, but it's a business app that you have to pay for, and it will not, as far as I know, it's not going to be connected to YouTube in any way, but it wouldn't hurt if we started asking Team YouTube on Twitter, like, what's going on, because they haven't said a word. The only thing they've said is it ends August 1st. So we have 1 more month of Hangouts. That is 1 more month of multiple person live streams, unless you have your own software, and not everybody has that. It doesn't work. OBS doesn't work very well on my computer at all. That's why I don't use it. So that's a problem. I'm okay with live streaming by myself, but I like to have friends on too. Michael Maloney, Tamarocks, thank you again, my friend. Jesus. Michael Maloney, $10. The divide in fans is between the fans who think explosions equals story and those who think story equals story. Yeah, I mean, that's normal divide. That's a normal divide. The divide I'm talking about, Michael, is the ones who are partisan and the ones who are not. And I don't judge anybody. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Honestly, I don't care. But when you start silencing other people, when you start using blanket generalized term like our friend George R.R. Martin did towards fans, and calling everybody who is center or right, whatever name you can think of, and dehumanizing them, that is bigotry. That is absolute bigotry. There's a thing called political bigotry. And as a matter of fact, it's against the law here in California. You can't not hire somebody based on their politics. And believe it or not, I don't believe that's a law in every single state. I'm not sure, but I know it's one here. And it's becoming quite the problem, because I can't tell you how many tweets I see that will just say Comicsgate, which gets a lot of heat. I saw one yesterday where somebody just said, just automatically, if you're Comicsgate, I shut you down. You're not even human. Like anything out of you is, and then he used the blanket term, calls them an istophobe or whatever. And I've watched Comicsgate for years, and it's not about that at all, actually. But right now, the creatives control the narrative within comics until they're done, because that's falling apart as we speak, and it's too late to fix it, unfortunately. Captain Mary Sue SJW $4.99. Gary, who do you think would win in a death match of brains and brawn between 7 of 9, Black Widow, Sarah Connor, Michael Burnham, or myself? Cheers. Well, I'd pick you, Captain Mary Sue, because you super chatted for $4.99. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I haven't seen you, but you're Fandom Menace member, so I'm going to pick you. You're strong. After that, though, Black Widow. I mean, Sarah Connor's badass, but Black Widow is, well, 7 of 9's kind of super powered, though. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with 7 of 9. Yeah, 7 of 9. And I also have an action figure right over there, 7 of 9. So, but I pick you first, Captain Mary Sue SJW. Plus, you're Mary Sue. You're going to win anyway, and you don't even have to try. Candace Mary or Marie for $2. Thoughts on Daisy Ridley as Ashoka Tano? I dig. Maisie Ridley? Who's Maisie Ridley? You mean Daisy Ridley? Hang on. Or Maisie Williams. And there's a YouTuber named Maisie Ridley. Let's see who this is. They have 4,000 subscribers, and it's just music videos. Yeah. Daisy Ridley, who would be a good Ahsoka? I don't know. That's something you got to ask Jeremy. I liked Clone Wars. I thought it was cool, but my Caro meter for Star Wars is at 0, unfortunately. Here's what's going to happen. We got Galaxy's Edge, which is pretty much empty right now, or empty. We'll just say they're not getting as many people as they expected. Whatever's behind this, who knows? Maybe it'll pick up later, but I think it's just because they opened it too early. There's not much going on. It's really expensive. I was a Star Wars fan my whole life, and I have no desire to go there. And the main character of the land is somebody we've never heard of. They don't do any of the original trilogy stuff. Why would I waste my money on that? I would much rather go to here in California and go to Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is a lot cheaper, and the rides are much better. Yeah, they all scare the crap out of you, but that's what you're supposed to ride rides for. One time, okay, so there's a ride called Colossus, and it's an old rickety. It's built like an old rickety roller coaster, and at one time it was the largest roller coaster in the world. I don't know if they do this anymore, but it used to be really fast, and they used to run it backwards. Well, a friend of mine and I this was the second time I had ever dropped acid. We dropped acid and we went on Colossus, and we were tripping balls, and we just got back on the ride over and over again. I lost, I'm not really good with time when I'm on acid. This was many, many years ago. I don't do it anymore. So I don't really have a good grasp of time, but I know the sun was up when we started riding Colossus, and the sun was really down when we decided to, I think it was like our 9th, 10th time, to where the guy working the gate knew us by first name. We finally stopped, but it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, that's just way better. F Disneyland. I'm not giving them any more money. And that's how we're going to fight this stuff. And it sucks. I don't like not being a fan of Doctor Who. I don't like not being a fan of Star Wars. Yeah, but I saw Snowflame. I saw that in the chat right there. I don't like not being a fan of Star Trek. Honestly, I'm going to Star Trek Las Vegas. It's because it's Las Vegas, and I get to meet some people in the Fandom Menace. That's why I'm going. I don't know, like, how many days I'm actually going to go into the con, especially if it's going to be Star Trek Discovery centric. But no, I mean, we got to stop buying stuff and kind of take the L on this one, because Doctor Who's not ever going to turn around. That thing is lost to us forever. I don't know if you guys are fans of it or not. It used to be kind of the perfect show for me, but it's gone. It ain't coming back. If they come back in some other form, it's still the BBC making it. You can't fight the BBC. They don't need to make it. Like, money is not their priority. Being a political platform to shape minds is their priority. Now, Hollywood could only get away with this for so long. And Quarter Black Garrett was asking the question, how long can this last? Not long. Not long, because I think we're already starting to see some results. I mean, compounded with they're out of ideas. They don't want to take any risks, But the reason they don't want to take any risks is because the money is starting to dry up. The reason the money is starting to dry up, in my opinion, was half the country is pissed off at Hollywood. I'll go. My family members who are there, I have a lot of family members who are on the right. They don't go to movies anymore. They don't watch any of those shows anymore. Hell, they stopped watching the NFL for a little while. And it's not like these are extremists we're talking about here. We're talking like centrist right people from California. Melissa's dad, who is a, Vietnam veteran, and all his brothers. And my uncle, who's a veteran. These are people who are just like, I'm done. I don't care about this stuff anymore. There's other things we can do. And I think that's going to be the biggest problem for them is you compound all the lack of interest, too expensive, out of ideas, with too many politics. Plus you're losing a generation to IGTV and YouTube and Steam. Basically, those are the future juggernauts or something like Steam. I've said this a bunch of times. Like kids aren't watching Netflix or Amazon either. That's going to be a problem too. And it's great. It's weird. There's I kind of got self-aware. I mean, I do it sometimes, but this isn't spoilers. But Flash Thompson, the quote unquote Flash Thompson, is I think an IGTV live streamer in Spider-Man, and there's a couple scenes where he's like, I'm live streaming. I'm like, oh shit. Wah, wah, wah. Scott Williams, $2. Hollywood is being eaten by a cancer it created. Yes. There's a very simple answer to all this. Hollywood, could get listen, a lot of these ratings aren't coming back, but they can get some of them back. They can get a lot of people back if they just simply tell good stories without being divisive. It's their choice. It is up to them. But they write a story that's divisive. They come out with an article talking about how awesomely diverse and inclusive they are by tokenizing people publicly and doing it with no self-awareness whatsoever. And then when we criticize the thing for being bad because we don't look at the people as tokens, we look at them as humans. As I've said before, normalization gets talked about a lot. Yeah, it's all pretty normal to me. I will criticize anybody. I don't discriminate with my criticism or praise. If it's a bad show, it's a bad show. But they're like, oh my God, how could you say? I can't tell you how many times I've been called an ist because I say Star Trek Discovery is a bad show. I have never once mentioned anybody's race or anything about that show. It just sucks. I don't care who's writing it, to be honest with you. It sucks. And it's run by a white guy, for one. Maybe that's one white guy they can get rid of. That and Tom Rothman. Yes, Scott, you are correct. This is something they created and they are continuing because when it comes to politics in Hollywood, it's like a religion. And these are people who are addicted to being right. And as I spoke about in the George R. R. Martin video, the people who are accusing us of being man babies and cry bullies and toxic fans are people who require constant praise. And when they're not getting it, they freak the F out. Rian Johnson is a perfect case of somebody who cannot get enough attention. Okay, so my friend Derek Robertson passed on this story to me. He was in Australia. He's a comic book artist. And he was with, I got to get his name now. I'm forgetting his name. The kid from Married with Children and a reality TV star who I don't know the name of. And he was hanging out with them. Johnny something. I can't remember. But they're hanging out in a bar and it was getting late. And Derek's like, man, I got to go home. I'm tired. And those guys wanted to keep going and going. And it wasn't that they weren't drinking a lot. They weren't doing drugs. They were in this bar and they were constantly surrounded by people who were just kissing their ass and they couldn't walk away from that. And Derek noticed that, and he's all, and yeah, this is, he was all, it was crazy. They couldn't pull themselves away from the attention because they needed it. And that always kind of stuck in my head, because that's something I noticed too. I noticed that with your boy Will Wheaton, when I would hang out with him, at Comic Cons, just peripherally. I didn't really know him. He knew some of my friends, but I didn't really interact with him a whole lot. Then he blocked me on Twitter. But yeah, he always needed to hold court. And which is fine. Hey, I'm on YouTube. It's fine. But to need it all the time, every day, yeah, it's something you're addicted to. And then now that you can hear everybody, good and bad, yeah, it kind of sucks. And it does a lot to their ego. And let's just say artists can sometimes be a little fragile. They need a little coddling. Actors for sure need a little coddling, but that's why they're actors. Drama class. Oh my God, I've got to go to the PO box. I haven't been there in like 2 weeks. Joseph, gonna try to get your last name right. Joseph Naitre. Close. For $2. Do you play games? Do you want to play a game? What do you think about Days Gone? I don't game, unfortunately. I'm aware of the game. Whatever I know about gaming is from watching Jeremy at the Quartering. But I know I don't game because I don't have the attention span for it. I just don't. And I'm just bad. Every time I've tried to play video games, I'm bad. Now, there are some I've gotten into, like Diablo 2, City of Heroes, Red Dead Redemption, and I got like way too into these games, like way, way too. And so, yeah, I have too much of an addicted personality to where that's why I'm not even going to touch Spider-Man 4. You would never see videos, and my wife would probably finally divorce me. Peter Davison, but thanks, Joseph. I appreciate it. I'll check out the trailer. I like games with good stories. I know I should probably try The Witcher. I really should. Peter Davison, Australian $5. Parcel sent, arrives 8 days approximately. Did other parcel arrive? Please. I will check, Peter. I will check. I'm sorry. I have not been my PO box in a while. They're going to get grumpy over there. But thank you again for sending so many cool parcels. I still have to post a couple of your the things you've sent me up on Instagram. I'm pretty sure. No, I don't know. Okay, somebody sent me a stack of a Prisoner book, which is genius, and some. Oh, God, it was good. And then some Frazetta books, which, oh my God. So I had lost all my Frazetta books in the move from the comic store. So I almost teared up when I saw the Frazetta books. I'm like, oh, I love Frazetta. Love Frazetta. Thank you, Peter. You're brilliant. Nicholas Horton, £2. Images from the Witcher release. Yes. And I'm not a Witcher. I don't know much about it. I'm listening to the book right now. I thought Henry Cavill looked pretty good. Once you get the texture and, that one costume thing, it was just a test. I thought it looked pretty good. I don't know, but I've got to defer to the Witcher fans. You tell me what you think. As far as Yennefer is concerned, listen, I'm going to say this every time. I think every character should look like they did in the source material, period. If we want to see new characters and new voices, we create them. But if you want to be successful, you want to try to look as close to your source material as possible. Why was Iron Man a success? Because Robert Downey Jr. was a great actor. He looked like Tony Stark, and the Iron Man armor looked freaking fantastic and looked like Iron Man. That's why it was a success. Why was the Donner Superman a success? Because he looked like freaking Superman. The costume looked like Superman, and he acted like Superman. And every time I talk about that movie, I want to watch it. There isn't a 4K of that yet. I don't know. Best panel I've ever been to at Comic-Con was Richard Donner, Margot Kidder. Who else was there? The guy who played Jimmy Olsen. Sarah Douglas, the guy who played Non. and they talked about the Superman 2 Donner cut, and it was at Comic-Con. Oh, that was the best panel. They showed a bunch of scenes to it. Just talked about all the stories behind the. Oh my God, it was so good. I have it on video somewhere. Dear Gary. Oh, Lars, this is getting serious. Lars Leonhard for 100 Danish crowns. Dear Gary, I love you and your channel. Well, I love you too. I do. But it worries me when you laugh about heavy drug use. 3 of my brothers have suffered addiction and 2 are dead. I know you don't mean it that way, but be careful, please. Well, Lars, if you've been watching the channel, I understand that sentiment. I am a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. I've got years of sobriety. I've got a sponsor. Believe me, it's something I take very seriously, but I also believe you can laugh. It's my personal drug use that I'm laughing about, and it's how I deal with it. And it's certainly part of my reality, but considering how much death I've seen personally, when related to drugs, it's something I take very seriously. So I understand what you're saying, Lars, but trust me, that's the most serious subject of my life. And it's the first thing I think about in the morning, and it's the last thing I think about at night, because if anything comes before my sobriety, then I lose my sobriety. So yeah, definitely. And stay tuned, because probably on this channel, I'm going to give my AA story very soon. The video will not be monetized, by the way. Criminal Imagination for Canadian $5. You think Disney will give brown, scrawny Flash Thompson the Venom storyline? If so, how bad do you think they'll F it up? God, I hope that would be I would be terrible. He's definitely scrawny. Listen, I don't like how they swapped out the characters from Spider-Man again. I don't think it was necessary, but and that's why this doesn't feel like authentic Spider-Man. And it feels like, even though the MCU has it, it doesn't feel real. Now the kid who plays Flash, he acts fine in the movie. I mean, he's a good actor. But it's not Flash. It's not the Flash that we saw. They should just give him another name then, and give him a new cast of characters. I mean, this isn't even Ultimate Spider-Man. We're getting like alternate Ultimate Spider-Man. But yeah, they'll screw it up. I don't think they'll get to that storyline. I think they'll, as long as they have Tom Hardy, and the Venom was a movie I enjoyed, but I know it wasn't good. But Tom Hardy's like one of the best actors out there. Again, he's in a series called Taboo. If you haven't seen it, oof, man, watch that. That is good. That is good. It's a period piece by the people who did Peaky Blinders. It's 8 episodes. It's on FX. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu right now. It's on Blu-ray too. Yeah, I think it's on Blu-ray. Shia Storm Dragon for $5. Thank you very much. Nothing to say, but thank you for $5. Heroic. I appreciate that. You help keep, and you did it at $5.55. $5 at $5.55. That was pretty cool. Heroic Avenger 96, $5 on the Spider-Man subreddit. It's getting praise. Are people in a honeymoon phase? Just got here. No, I can see a lot of people liking this movie. I admittedly am probably too hard on it because I'm a purist. I think with the normie MCU fans, it's going to be a massive hit and they're going to love it. And it certainly was better than Homecoming. I don't like Homecoming except for Michael Keaton in it. I thought Spider-Man was a crybaby in it, but he's more of established Spider-Man. The costume, it still looks Ramita, which is fine. I understand why they had to change him for action figures. Certainly makes sense. It still doesn't feel like Spider-Man. It feels like a Spider-Man character in the MCU that's a reasonable facsimile, but not the real deal to me. But maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know. But I can see most people. I saw Anti-Trekker liked it. But Anti-Trekker liked Captain Marvel too. So I don't know. Got to give you shit for that, Anti-Trekker, because that movie sucks, man. It's definitely better than Captain Marvel. It's not woke. It's just how do I say this without spoiling it? It's not as impactful as I thought it would be. I thought it would have some impact on the MCU, and it did not. It is what I mean, they've come out and said what it is. It's basically an epilogue. But as far as the emotional strings it's supposed to pull with being the epilogue of Avengers Endgame and Marvel's Phase 3 and the loss of Captain America and Iron Man, those did not hit like I thought they would. And all the Peter Iron Man scenes you have seen. If you've watched all the trailers, you have seen all the Peter Iron Man referral scenes. There's really nothing else. There is a lot you haven't seen, but that's more to do with the actual plot of the story, which I am not going to spoil. I gave it a 6. I'm kind of wavering between a 6 and 7 out of 10. And yeah, admittedly, I'm probably being a little hard on it, but again, I just thought it wasn't bad. It was forgettable. It was meh. It was Spider-Man Far From Great, but not horrible. But subreddits are mostly for fans. I mean, unless you're free folk. Well, those are fans too, but they're honest fans. My kind of fan. Unhinged Crank for $5. Did you see the Knives Out Rian Johnson murder mystery that yes, from the man who murdered Star Wars? Yes, I did see that trailer. Pretentious as hell. It's a film by Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson presents a film by Rian Johnson, produced by Rian Johnson, written by Rian Johnson, and presented to you by Rian Johnson. A murder mystery like no other, because he's going to reinvent the murder mystery by probably subverting the expectation of actually telling you who did the murder. He probably won't. I'm guessing here, but it'll probably be a murder mystery that doesn't get answered at the end. It'll be kind of like Ronin. We never find out what's in the case, except with murder, and except bad. Because I know a lot of people like Ronin, but I could never get over not knowing what's in the case. I know that's part of the movie and the mystery and the avant-gardeness of it. And I still wanted to know what was in the goddamn case. And that's why I dipped out of Walking Dead. We're never going to find out what caused the zombies, like what was really behind it. And I'm like, well, then I don't care. Gemini for Australian $2. Been watching Year of the Rabbit, Matt Berry comedy. I have not. Is it good? Is it I'm wary of comedy these days, because it's just Orange Man bad, blah, blah, blah. Did you hear about the Orange Man? He did some bad. Wow. Zowie. What about that Orange Man? Man, he was bad and orange. He's certainly orange and bad and a man. Yeah, that's comedy nowadays. It's low-hanging fruit picked by talentless hacks. Yeah. But then when you try to do it from the other side, like our boy Crowder did, you get your money taken away. But I mean, he's as salty as anybody else. But I guess you can only be salty on one side. And yeah, that's not going to be bad for our country eventually. No, not at all. Hail, Gary. Did you see Robert RLM's takedown of Red Letter Media's takedown of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Anthony Zappin for $2? I did, and I enjoyed it thoroughly, so much so I watched it twice. And I thought, I'm glad I wasn't alone on this, because there's a few of us out there. I actually talked to Mecca about this yesterday on Midnight's Edge live stream, that I am venturing down the Mahler-esque review highway of Star Trek Discovery Season 2. And there's no way I can do it in one episode. It's impossible to keep track of all the dumb things that happen in one single episode. And when you really start thinking about it, and the thing is, I have to make these videos, even if it's like after season 3, because the one thing we can always get them on. There's so many rumors and innuendo and shit. I'll report them every time I hear them from my insiders. By the way, people seek me out, and there is so much I have. I would love to tell you everything I have heard, but I can't. And I get thrown stuff that I'm like, I don't know if I should be seeing this. Like, could this get me in trouble, or worse yet, get you in trouble? So, I mean, hey, I love seeing the stuff. Please bring it on. I will go to my grave not telling anybody your name, because it's been ingrained in me that snitches end up in ditches. So, yeah. So your secret will be safe with me. I don't know if I'll tell it, but certainly let me know. Somebody just sent me something about Apple. I'm just going to leave it there, but whoa. What was I saying now? So Star Trek, the one place we can get Star Trek Discovery where it hurts is the content. Just expose their content, because they're trying, basically, they're still in the trying to get subscribers on CBS All Access. So all Star Trek Discovery is a mishmash of pretty garbage that you can throw together in a trailer that might entice people to subscribe to their service. Now, actually, they couldn't. I watched all their trailers. They're bad. It's gobbledygook nonsense. And the Red Letter Media video even mentions, they're like, there's no way we could review in detail the whole season, because you would need one of those crazy people string rooms with the freaking push pins and everything to keep track of all the errors. And there's so many within their own canon. So, I mean, how can we expect them to respect Star Trek canon when they can't keep track of their own from 2 episodes ago? I mean, I'll bring up again, Emperor Captain Georgiou is from the Mirror universe. She has light sensitivity in our, because there's a difference in the light in the different universes. So she should be wearing sunglasses or squinting. They just completely forgot about that. Whatever. How did Michael Burnham in a time suit that her mom invented on the side, because she wasn't a scientist, she was an engineer, and she invented a time suit for Section 31. How did she get a whole church full of people out of World War III to another planet light years away without a ship? Doesn't matter, because Star Trek fans don't pay attention to anything. They just zone out all the time. They're not sticklers for detail. Yosef, one more time for 10 pounds. My name is pronounced like no in Russian. Okay, so I don't know what no is. Like no in Russian, or new in English. So nutri or like netre. Okay, netre. Gotcha. Niet. It is a city in Slovakia now, but was founded by the Hungarian king long before the U.S. was thought of. Thanks for the train. By the way, you are welcome. And yes, the U.S. we are a baby little country. We are a baby country. Old here is like 100 years old, and we knock everything down. My house is 100 years old, though. It was built in 1910. But thank you. Yet Lars, did I skip one? No. Okay. Lars Leonhard for 50 Danish crowns. Thank you, Gary. I will stay tuned for that story. I know you didn't mean it that way. Just worried about impressionable youth. Honestly, I concern myself with it all the time. But part of the thing with drugs is I've always found you got to be completely honest about it. And the reason people started them is because they enjoyed them. And the reason it becomes bad is because there's some people who are born with a chemical imbalance in their brain. And there's some people who can do acid once, have a great time, and never do it again and be fine with that. Acid's a bad example, because not a lot of people get addicted to acid. It's hard to. You can't take acid day after day. It just doesn't work like that. It uses something up in your brain that needs time to replenish. So if you drop another hit acid the next day, chances are it's not doing anything. But so it's irregular dopamine in your brain, and that's it. So it's part of the disease of alcoholism, and it just a trigger or a switch gets flicked when somebody drinks or has a line or something like that, or not necessarily with pot all the time, but pot is a gateway drug. And yeah, some people just get addicted, and it sucks, and it kills them, freaking kills them. Yeah, and I lost count of how many young people I've outlived, how many people I've outlived, which is incredible because the biggest bummer is the people I outlived who didn't do as many drugs as I did. But it's just the choice of drug, because there's certain drugs that'll kill you quick and some that'll kill you slow. Criminal Imagination, Canadian $10. Have you heard of Elric and Melonbone? Yes. It's like The Witcher was made in the 60s. Michael Moorcock. Yes. Blue Oyster Cult and Diamond Head made songs about the material, songs being Black Blade and I love Am I Evil? Am I Evil? One of my favorite all-time songs. Yes, I am. I am man. Yes, I am. Boom, 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 boom. It's got a freaking. Yeah, I've got some Elric graphic novels that I need to read. I watched a Razor Fist video where he did. Sometimes he'll do like music and comic videos, and he did an Elric video, and I'm like, man, that sounds good. I want to buy some of that stuff. Found it for cheap on Amazon, then I didn't read it. Forever Sci-Fi for $1.99. Does it deal with the 5-year restart of Endgame? Yes, it does. It explains it and then doesn't really refer to it again in a couple of jokes. But it doesn't, I'm warning you right now, it doesn't get deep into it at all. Vienna Wells for £10. Why did George, knowing how complex his saga is, that the puzzle that the story is, was not even completed, knowing how he writes, was so naive to trust two guys with no experience? Yeah. And in that interview, he talks about Dan and Dave have had no TV experience. And what happened was, because they had no TV experience, that actually helped them in the beginning, because they were naive and didn't know what they couldn't get away with. And then their naivety got them in the end, because they didn't realize what a grind it was. And they basically got sick of it. They got sick of it. They weren't that into it anymore, and they couldn't wait to get the F out. And I don't know this for a fact, but I just look at the body of work, and I think with a brain and a little common sense, you can figure that out. Now, how could this problem have been solved? Checking your ego a little bit. Simple as that. They really loved being, gods in that room. And look at the documentary. Look at how people act around them. And that is sick in Hollywood. That is everywhere. And it's in every level, right? There's that kind of deity worship, even in post-production. Like there'll be some kick-ass editor or some project manager who comes in and everybody kisses their ass. And so many people are drunk with power who have no business either having it, and they really don't. It's funny and it's sad. It's really sad. The hierarchy of Hollywood and what people will do to get a job at the lowest levels it's sad. It's sad. The place the one thing I noticed immediately when I started working at Technicolor was all the single people. No judgment if you're single, but just to have that many people in one place who weren't in relationships or were broken up says everything I needed to know. I was like, oh, good. I mean, it's Hollywood for one. And I think, it's probably best to be single in Hollywood. It's probably not a very good place to be married, to be honest with you, on any level. But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, wow, okay. Cereal and whiskey. Do you really put whiskey in your cereal? I never tried that. Well, I wouldn't want anything to get in the way of me getting drunk. $1. Thank you very much for the $1 donation. Alan Walker for $1.99. I just don't think Tom Holland fits the role. He doesn't, and that's going to be more evident, Alan, as time goes on, because he's got this really high voice. I mean, it's just, I'm not saying Spider-Man talks like this, but come on. He's always going to sound like a kid. Vienna Wells for 20 pounds. Thank you, Vienna. Didn't George know also that if the show became popular, he was going to enter a new world, pop culture world? He went from respected sci-fi and fantasy writer with a certain group of fans to a popular writer for the masses. Exactly. So he had this fixed audience that just loved him and wrote. It's, you know what? It's not unlike, I'll equate it to being on YouTube. So he went from having like 10,000 subs to like 30 million subs. I mean, it goes from that to that. So he's got his small group of people that are really like tight, close knit. They talk all the time. And then he went to that. He remained a fan in his heart. So he goes to conventions, he buys comic books, plus his bank account was much bigger. So he could buy things he always wanted to buy, but couldn't before. I'm not judging him for that at all. Like, that's one of the great things about him, honestly. And I love the dude. I do. He probably hates, if he's ever heard of me, he hates me. Believe me. I don't think he likes anything I have to say about Game of Thrones, or I know where he comes politically, and I'm very much against this whole sad puppy, the sad, there was a huge SJW invasion in science fiction, and it was happening right around the time of Gamergate. It was called the Sad Puppies. Look into it. But it was basically, they were doing what they do with comics now, just giving awards based on people's sex and gender and how they look, and not like actual, like how good the book was. That really didn't matter anymore. And it was done under the guise of, we need new voices. And of course we need new voices. But the thing is, what it is it's, God, how do I say this nicely? You become the official person of color or certain religion or certain gender of that group that still practices nepotism and cronyism. You've just broken into the clique. That's all. None of that has changed at all. There's still cliques. It's still nepotism, and that's fine. But what's killing that, what's destroying that, is idiots like me doing live streams, and people are more interested in interacting with somebody than, being told a bad story. Now, George doesn't tell bad stories. I'm not saying that at all. But listen, Fire and Blood pissed me off. Another effing history book. And I was under the impression he just edited it. That was it. So I was mad about that. But then recently I found out that he wrote the damn thing. Like, I don't know, maybe I was naive. He wrote the effing book. The book is this thick. So if he doesn't write, I'm pointing it to it because it's in my bookshelf right over there, Fire and Blood, we have Winds of Winter by now. If he doesn't write The World of Ice and Fire, which is excellent, I love it, we have Winds of Winter right now. But he wrote these things because they're easier, and it's a way to placate the audience. It gives them a little something while he takes a little more time. Well, I would much rather have Winds of Winter. I mean, imagine if, listen, I know a lot of people don't like J.K. Rowling anymore. I don't like J.K. Rowling anymore. She's really kooky. But I did enjoy the Harry Potter books. I enjoyed them with my kids and stuff. And dude, she came out with books every 2 years, and she's supposed to do this encyclopedia that she's taking her time with. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. You do your Silmarillion and your encyclopedias after your main story. And then I posted it up again, and maybe I should do an entire video on that interview where George says, I'm totally cool not finishing the book. Oh, and that's his hint that he's not going to finish. I mean, that's him trying to be honest. Thank you, Vienna. Mech 1164 $1.99. Gary, did you see the brown tardigrade, the Eaglemoss one? Yeah, I just was made aware of it after I got back from the movie. Wow. Don't you see that as an admission? Plus, it doesn't look like it either. And it almost, I don't know if you guys were listening to Midnight's Edge yesterday, but I was like saying, hey, if Star Trek is so damn healthy, where are the playmate? I'm pointing right there. Where are the action figures? Where's the action figure lines? Where is the bridge? We got a brand new starship. Where is the toy starship? Where is the bridge toy set? Where are the action figures? Where is the tardigrade? Where is the Spore Drive play set? And then all of a sudden we get a tardigrade from Eaglemoss. Well, let me tell you about Eaglemoss. Eaglemoss is British. I believe they're a British company. They made I was really into the Marvel Eaglemoss, where I called them the lead popsicles, because they had lead figures that they hand painted, and they'd come out with a magazine. They did that with Buffy. They did it with Doctor Who. They make like miniaturized ships, but they are a very boutique-y hobby shop company. It's not mass produced merchandise. It's very specific merchandise for the hardcorest of fans that's not carried in a lot of stores. I don't know about the UK. I can't speak about the UK, but here in the States, very few comic shops carry Eaglemoss stuff. I would say less than half. I carried it. I carried all of it because it was available through previews. But like I said, with the lead figures, technically we weren't supposed to carry it. Not here in California, but we did. There was some way we got around it with imports, but like technically we're not supposed to carry that stuff. I'm not supposed to sell a lead anything to a kid in California because it's incredibly dangerous. So yeah, Eaglemoss doesn't impress me. It doesn't impress me as a product. It's very boutique-y, very hobby oriented. So it's like people into electric trains. They still make that stuff, but it's not making Star Trek millions and millions, maybe a million, maybe a couple million. It ain't paying for their show like other stuff could. But yeah, thank you, Mech 1164 for the heads up. I truly appreciate that. And guys, if anytime you see stuff like that, man, and you don't think I'm catching it, email me, please, because I don't catch everything. I don't. I went through a few days prior to going dark for Anna, where I didn't know what to do. I'm like, honestly, and I'm not going to force a video. I'm not just going to make a video to make a video. I'm, it's not great for the channel, but I'm not. I don't know. I feel phony when I do that, so I'm not going to do it. Because I am. Because if I'm just making a video to make a video, I'm kind of being phony. I'm speaking for myself. But like, you guys are brilliant. I just go read my email, go to my DMs, 9 video ideas in the morning. By the way, if you're a member of my Patreon, it started today. I cannot set the time, but pretty much every morning between 8 and 8:30, I'm going to go live for 30 minutes on my Patreon, and we're going to go over the news of the day, and we'll discuss, what I'm going to make videos on, or just talk to you. So that's daily, Monday through Friday on Patreon. Little as $1. And it's also on Subscribestar. It gets mirrored on Subscribestar if you don't like Patreon. And again, for as little as $1 a day, keeps the lights on. I have a feeling. I have not heard anything. I just have a feeling that, like, the YouTube train's not going to last forever. So that's why I'm doing the Plan B thing with the comic store, which I will roll out very, very soon. I have to fix Patreon first. Then I'm going to do a GoFundMe, just real quick. I used to own a comic store. I'm going to start one again. It's going to be online at first. Then it's going to be a pop-up shop in here in San Francisco. And once I move from San Francisco, which will be in about a year, once my son's headed into high school, then I'm going to, hopefully I'll have enough saved to buy a building, and I will do a brick and mortar old school comic store. Old school in the sense that I will not carry new comics. Now, it will be, as far as new comics are concerned, the only new comics I will carry are Comicsgate comics. Yep, that's right. And the same goes for the pop-up. So the only new comic books I will carry are Comicsgate. Now, I'll carry trades. Of course, I'll carry trades. But as far as floppies are concerned, little funny books, only Comicsgate. And that's only the ones who will work a deal with me. But eventually, I'm doing this. I'm doing it for my son. So, yes. So my son's on the spectrum, and I want to have something for him. I want to have a job for him. And yeah, so it'll be old school. It'll be like back issues, vintage toys, vinyl, who knows, video maybe, but it's going to be kind of a throwback store. And I ran one before and I was able to pull it off here in San Francisco. So I figure I can do it again, but I want to, but do that for him. Okay, so Daniel, $5. I've been a Red Letter Media fan since day one. You and Doomcock have replaced them as the place to dissect entertainment. You guys are that good. Wow. Now, Doomcock is that good. Thank you, Daniel. That's high praise. And it has been a while since I dissected a TV show because I've been working on this Star Trek Discovery thing, and I will try to get it out as soon as possible because I have to do Doctor Who season 11 right after that. And then I have to do Captain Marvel. And then there's a lot of things I need to dissect. I want to make a video dissecting Iron Fist season 2 because I think that is the perfect example of everything wrong in Hollywood was Iron Fist season 2. Thank you, Daniel. And V for $2. Dude, you're awesome. Love the channel. You're awesome. Love you. Thank you so much. Again, it's surreal hearing this stuff. It's really, yeah. I wish my dad were around to see that, because my dad said I talk too much. I know, big shock. Said I had diarrhea of the mouth. My dad was a loving soul. No, I love my dad. He was great. I wish he was here to see this. This would blow his mind. Blow his mind. Miss you, Pops. Avery Jack Black for $1. Thank you, Avery. I greatly appreciate it. Every little bit helps. You are brilliant. Thank you. Avery Jack Black. I like that name. Orville Nation. What's up, Orville Nation? Hashtag watch the Orville. We freaking love the Orville. Everything that is right with entertainment. Everything that is right with fan interaction. If you want a how-to, simply go to Seth. Seth is also a fan. He's also this brilliant talent who doesn't feel the constant need to belittle others, unless it's in the guise of comedy through his narrative, which is completely fine, by the way. Anything can be made fun of and laughed at. It needs to be. That needs to be sacred. And right now, comedy is in such a state that, even though Orville is a serious show, I take it as a very serious show. The comedy in it is still some of the most cutting edge comedy because he's still got the balls to do comedy right now. So, yeah, we love Seth. And thank you, Orville Nation, for $10 for just hanging out with all your online friends. You are an amazing broadcaster. Gary, man, congrats. Could you shout out our new Orville Nation YouTube channel? Thanks a bunch. PJ, of course. Absolute. Whenever, you don't have to give me super chat. Just say the word. Anything Orville. I think it does fandom better. The more fandom knows about the Orville is love. It's love. It is, if you're not familiar with the show, you give it a chance. Even if you're not a Star Trek fan, even if you're not a Seth MacFarlane fan. I was not an American Dad fan or a Family Guy fan. But I started warming up to Seth MacFarlane when he made a couple of pretty poignant jokes at the Academy Awards, especially towards Harvey Weinstein. That's when I started warming up to him. And then he made this great show called The Orville. So do check it out. Man, if you're out there listening, Seth, I'd love to have it on Blu-ray. I'll pay like twice what it normally costs to have it on Blu-ray. There are a lot of fans who would buy that on Blu-ray, right? You would. Does that mean the Orville is Cecil? Yes, it does. You figured it out. So let's go to the channel here. Go into your channel. So Orville Nation, everybody check it out. It's got 1 subscriber. You just started? It's got 1 subscriber. Why don't you guys be like the first, give it, listen, it's just a click. You hit the bell. What could have hurt? Orville Nation, just starting out. We all started out somewhere. So, of course, Orville Nation, you just say the word. And thank you. Jerry's Camo 91s, $4.99. I'm sending this in response to Tamarocks. Does he think you're running for president as an independent? Keep up the great content, Gary. Well, if I ran for president, which I won't, because I would be a terrible president. I would be the worst president ever. I'd forget where the nuclear codes were. I'd lose them within the first day. And yeah, who knows who would find them. Plus, I really like my privacy. I wouldn't want some guy following me around. Plus, that's way too much responsibility. And I'd have to talk to politicians. Ugh. Hell no. Who should be president? Well, I'll say this. Because we cater to all sides here. We are about the free speech is not it's not partisan. It's not partisan. It is if you're against it. Just saying. It's a partisan move to be against it, but to be for free speech, that is nonpartisan. But I'll just say this. In 2016, I heard from the media and a lot of actors in Hollywood that the world was going to end. The world was going to end. It was it. This is it. I'm looking out a window right now. It's quiet as can be. I've got a job on YouTube now. Believe me, in the last 3 years on LinkedIn, I had the last 2 jobs I had before this, I had people looking for me. Like that's never happened before in my life. In my previous profession, which was before the comic store, was auto parts. So I got back into that a little bit after I sold the comic store because of the whole relapse story, and I was rebuilding my life and everything. So I went back to my old job and did parts, and I worked for Tesla. Tesla sought me out, and I worked for fucking Tesla, which was cool, but then it wasn't. Turned out to be not for me. But it led to this, and I love Elon Musk. I do. That guy is like one of my heroes, and I don't have very many of those. So we need more Elons in the world. We need more CEOs smoking a blunt, even though drugs are bad, okay? But smoking a blunt on Joe Rogan, I think we need a couple of politicians doing that too. And I don't even touch this stuff. But or having a drink or telling a dirty joke or doing something that's human. And back to Seth. My video with the most views is an Orville video. And in that video, I'm like begging for Hollywood to stop with the politics. And I read some of the criticism towards Seth, saying that he was frat boy humor and dick and fart jokes. And the world needs that. The world is a better place with frat boy humor, frat girl humor, dick and fart jokes, and incredibly intelligent jokes like those from Monty Python and from Seth. Seth tells it all. Watch season 2. Watch season 2 of the Orville. That's all I got to say about that. Okay. Jerry, thank you, bud. Zap Napful for 50 Swedish crowns. I got my little bro on perma-psych care because of drugs. Oh, yeah. You never mention how it hurts people under the abuser. And I will mention that because that is something that definitely needs to be mentioned, Zap. And there is a resource for you. It's called Al-Anon. I highly, highly recommend it because that's a great point. That is actually a really great point. With the person, a lot of times, a lot of times in the past, I have gotten sober. My life gets better, but the people I damaged on the way here remain damaged. So they see me getting better, but they're still damaged. And unless I am mindful of that, and unless there's help for them, it can turn really bad, really, really bad. And it looks like I'm being insensitive as I'm improving after I did all this damage to their life. Well, that's why it's part of my recovery, my steps to help fix some of that, or at the very least, you acknowledge it. Okay, you acknowledge it, you make your amends. Not everybody's going to be cool with it. Believe me, I've had a lot of people just give me the finger, and that's fine. But at least you try. But Al-Anon is a great resource, and that's what really helped me and Melissa and many, many others. So Al-Anon is for people who weren't the addict. They were the person who tried to help the addict, or the person the addict hurt, or the dad or the husband or the wife or whatever. It's a great place. It's a great place. And damage, as far as perma damage, permanent damage, permanent psychological damage. I'm trying to find a way to word this. There's a point in my life where I've been victimized a lot of times, especially when I was young, by some horrid things. There was a point in my life where I could have called that perma damage, but there was a point in my life I went, I'm not going to let this person win anymore. I'm not going to let this person have power over me when this person probably doesn't give me a second thought. I'm not going to let this person ruin my life every day over an act. When I was 6, I had no control. They did. They were bad people. And what I did was forgave them and moved on. That's all I could do. What am I going to go on a revenge thing and go kill the guy? No, actually, no, I'm not. So what you do is you forgive them, because that way you forgive yourself too. And you move on. And that's how you deal with the perma damage. Does it leave scarring? Sure. Absolutely. Forgive, never forget. That's how it's worked for me. Otherwise, I'd be trapped in the circle and want to just die, which sucks. But yeah, Zap, definitely you got to bring out the people that get hurt around that. That's true. That doesn't get mentioned a lot. And you're right. Echo Base Network, $1.99 just got here. How was Spider-Man? Worth paying to see? Yes. Matinee prices. Admittedly, I'm a Spider-Man purist. So I'm right there with Jeff from World Class Bullshitters, where we see very eye to eye when it comes to Spider-Man, and so does Nerdrotic Jr. Nerdrotic Jr. did not like it. Gave it a 5 out of 10. Yeah. He didn't like it. Echo Base Network again for $1.99. So is Spider-Man worth paying to see? Just got here. Oh, you said that twice. Did you mean to do that twice? I wish I could refund that. Yeah, I mean, Echo Base Network, you run YouTube channel. Yes, you get your butt to go see it and review it. You need content, my friend. Do a video on the Knives Out trailer, because that's really, I'm sure you have already, because that's related to the Phantom Menace. I'm sure they want to hear your take on it. And definitely go and see the movie and do a review. I just recorded a video prior to doing this. It's a rare one take video where I just talk. It's kind of all over the place, but I don't. So I've got another Game of Thrones video coming out tomorrow morning. I've just got to check some facts on something, because I have. There's a title for the prequel, and we're going to be talking about that and some other stuff. Sean Perugini. Sean Perugini for $1.99. Hi, Gary. Great point about toys equals strong fandom. Yes. If you have a healthy franchise, there are toys everywhere because people want them. When Game of Thrones came out, they didn't have anything. They had some Dark Horse magnets. And I was like, dude, I want to buy stuff from you guys. Make stuff. Nobody's doing that for Star Trek Discovery. Nobody's doing it. Doctor Who keeps producing old Doctor toys. My God, they're producing a Big Finish. Nicholas Horton showed me. They're producing an audio drama action figure, but they only made one Jodie action figure. Big Chief, which is the 1/6 collectible place. If you want to pre-order the 13th Doctor, you have to pay everything up front, because they know people will flake out on the pre-orders. And they're making it specific to their orders because nobody wants it. And the number I heard was like 100 got ordered. 100 worldwide. That's bad. Captain Mary Sue SJW, thank you for the 99 cents. I appreciate that. JPRPH1, $1.99. Thank you. Nothing to say. Usually you've got something to say, my friend. Alan Walker for $4.99. What will they have to do to save Doctor Who after the travesty of season 11? It would have to leave the BBC. And I don't know who would be good. Who would be good? Maybe Amazon Prime. Maybe it depends on the production company. I'm kind of a fan of anonymous content, I think they're called. Yeah, they made Mr. Robot and Counterpart. Yeah, that's the only way. Unless they let Big Finish run it, but even Big Finish has got its woke moments. But it's not nearly as bad as the BBC. Opinionated uploads, 2 $1 donations. Thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. And it's good to see you. Joel Tumburo for $5. I laugh that the same BBC that separated season 11 of Doctor Who on produced the excellent 2008 show Survivors. If you have not seen it, you may like it. I will check it out, Joel. Well, I can tell you exactly what happened. The BBC changed regimes in 2012, and I remember hearing about it at the time. Expect big changes at the BBC. We're gonna, they got really into their diversity hiring and everything, and that's when everything changed, and not for the better. Now you can do diversity hiring and still have good content, but the thing is, as I stated before, this diversity hiring they're doing, it's still cronyism and nepotism. So it's the people that they know, not necessarily the most talented person. Jack Random, $10. Now it's entertainment chat, but did you hear all the stuff about the VP going back to DC, Moscow meetings, EU meetings, and UK disclosure? Pence said he would find out what's happening in weeks. Oh, about disclosure? I did not hear that. I will look into that for the Exozone on Thursday, which is day after tomorrow. Thank you, Jack Random, for $10. I greatly appreciate it. Generic for a Canadian $200. I think what YouTube is doing to limit streamers is a direct result of all the failed blockbusters this summer and over the last few years in general. They can't honestly expect people to go back to watching crap just because they can't hear talk about it. People will just know it's crap. Yeah. And they're not going to stop me. I mean, like, I am not going to run to another platform and rebuild everything. It would just take my attention away from this. This isn't going to last forever anyway. And I want to put as much into this as I can. Here's what I plan on doing. I don't like Alex Kurtzman. I have a plan. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know how it's getting funded. I don't know where I'm going to find the time, but I want to get way more scheduled with my videos. I kind of just pick videos when I see something, and I want to live stream every day, or at least 5 days a week, like a radio show, like a morning radio show. And I want to do it in the morning. Probably a little earlier. So move the nooners up a couple hours. And that way I could just either work out, go to the gym, or work out, do a live stream, or vice versa. For one, because I love doing it, but doing it later in the day, it like takes up my whole day. So I want to get back to doing it in the morning and then doing it 5 days a week. We'll see if it works out. I'm going to be testing that this summer. So very, very soon, actually, when I get back from con. Yeah, Generic, they want to suppress voices. They want the official version of events. Well, that's not scary. Not at all. We want the official version of events. We want the official review. Opinionated uploads for $5. Yes, indeed. My heart goes out to Anna, as does mine. My mother is on home hospice, so this hits close to home. I wish I were around you guys right now. Well, I wish you were here too. And I'm sorry that's my dad was on home hospice, so I know exactly exactly what you're going through right now. That is brutal. So Gary at nerdrotic.com. You can reach out to me anytime. I know what you're going through. And you're here with us now, virtually, but you're here with us now. And this is what's great about live streaming. Loneliness has a lot of facets to it. There's people who are lonely. There's people who are just temporarily lonely. There's people who are in lonely situations. And sometimes we just need to be around each other, even if it's here talking to each other. That's where live broadcasting actually helps. There was, there was times I would love my very dark times. The one thing that kept me hooked to reality was a dumb morning radio show called Armstrong and Getty. And these guys will never know that they helped me through like a really dark period of my life. So if I can turn that around and help anybody in any dumb way I can by my blabbing about shit, I'm happy to do it. So I'm sorry about your mother. Yeah, and all of our hearts go out to Anna right now. I talked to my patrons this morning. Very eerily similar situation. Not the results, okay? Because I'm not going to speculate what happened to Ellen. I don't think that's my place, and I've actually just put it out of my mind because it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. I know we're curious, and everybody was emotionally invested in this, but to echo what Jeremy at the Quartering said, it's just, I know you guys want to ask, and it's perfectly normal to do that. So you're not a bad person for doing that at all. But it's not any question I'm ever going to answer, but I don't know anything. And I'm just not going to speculate. We went through something, at the salon. There was a woman who worked at our salon who ended up going missing, and, the results weren't good. It made the news. It was all over the news. And, yeah, so, that hit home with my wife, because, that was her friend, worked at the salon, and yeah, didn't see her for like a week. Her sons were desperate to find her, and, they found her. It was grim. And, her name was, Shelly Carmichael. And, she was a good friend, and we miss her. But Melissa, yeah, it's surreal going through that. So, yeah, it just reminded me of that. But it's much, much worse. That was bad. This was bad. Believe me, it was bad, but it's not a family member. So what is my workout routine? Ryan P. It's very simple. I do light weightlifting, mostly focused on just chest, shoulders, do some legs 3 times a week. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do that for about an hour, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Every single day I go and I do cardio. So I do 45 minutes. It's much different now. It's 45 minutes on elliptical and half an hour on treadmill. And if the gym is closed, there's a lake right next to the beach called Lake Merced. It's like 5 miles around. I walk and run around that on days the gym is closed. Every single day I work out, and it's for my sobriety. It's not really, I'm in this, I got a little heavy, towards in the comic shop, and I dropped a bunch of weight, but for most of my life, I've been pretty much the same weight, about 185, since I got big. But it keeps me grounded. It's a great way to think of video ideas. And it's also spectacular for sobriety. And they actually have science behind that. It helps keep your dopamine levels level, and you get quite a rush. You get addicted to working out, and that's kind of where I'm at now, but it's great. I freaking look forward to it every morning, and I don't feel right. If I skip a workout, I feel completely off. So I go obsessively to the gym all the time, and it has to be to the gym. I even did the exercise equipment here at home, and it wasn't the same. I like the ritual of going to the gym, putting my headphones on. And the cool thing is I'm taking my son now, which is going to be fun. I don't know if he'll think it's fun, but it's fun. T Stoney for $5. Not a purist, but I judge comic book movies from feel as well as canon detail. And that's a good way to judge it, T. I agree with that. The MCU worked well until now because they got both. The train is leaving. It is. It is. And it's that, hey, we are lucky we got what we did, to be honest with you. Freaking a decade's worth of mostly good movies, pretty satisfying ending. I'd say I would call that a win. Unfortunately, it could have gone on longer. Star Trek could be successful right now. Doctor Who could be successful right now. Star Wars could be successful right now. But I was speaking of sobriety earlier. So my whole life is centered around sobriety comes first. Then everything else falls into place. I just make sure I stay sober. Everything else falls into place. When you go in to tell a story, the story has to come first and everything else will fall into place if you're talented. Even if you're the most talented writer, when you put political agenda and 5 other things in front of the story, well, Lawrence Kasdan couldn't have saved that, and he didn't. Listen, the plot, you know, I had a co-host who denied this forever. So they have a writer's room for Star Wars movies. So when you see Rian Johnson or Lawrence Kasdan, they're taking what the story group gave them and then writing a story. They aren't coming up with their story from scratch. Then why have a writer's group? What are they writing? They're obviously writing and plotting out the movies. So basically, Lawrence Kasdan sold his name to put on that script to take what that writing group came up with and JJ. And yeah, so it was a committee. And believe it or not, a committee wrote A Force Awakens, which is, like I said before, it's a Star Wars widget. That's all it is. Yeah. Peter Davison, the book I sent might help. I am looking forward to it. Thank you, Ryan P, for the $2. Thank you, T Stoney, for the $5. Thank you, Peter Davidson, for the Australian $2. Peter Davison for Australian $5. Human Aura at book, best text on subject, published in 1935. Interesting. You send interesting stuff, man. I love it. Thank you. Stuff I wouldn't even have thought about. That's what I like. Techno Babbler, person after my own heart, $5. Hey Gary, I was a big fan of Valiant Comics in the 90s and am petrified of what they will do with the upcoming movies. Do you read Valiant? Not current Valiant. I read it back in the day. It was wonderful. It's comic books for comic fans. Does that make sense? It's almost like jazz for comics, for superhero comics. Loved it. Have many of them still. Man Visible and Invisible, C.W. Ledbetter. Is that the name of the book, Peter? Thank you. Australian $2. I like the title, Man Visible and Invisible. Cool. Yeah, they're going to mess with Dune. Apparently they're messing with the Wheel of Time. And apparently they're messing with Lord of the Rings, which just makes me want to puke. By the way, I'm going to be doing, so my next video is, well, no, it's the Spider-Man review. It's a short video review. And then in the morning is a Game of Thrones video. And then in the afternoon, it's a Lord of the Rings. We're going to do another live stream tomorrow. I'm going to try to see if I can get somebody on that live stream, because I kind of want to talk about Buffy. I've been watching. So Mahler and I, we did EFAP, and then he's jumped on a couple of live streams, and we started talking about Buffy out of nowhere. And now he's watching it. Wolf's watching it. I've been watching it. I'm almost through season 2 now. And maybe we'll talk about, yeah, Sandman. Yeah, freaking Netflix Sandman. That makes no sense, Phil. WB is starting a streaming service. Why on earth would you sell your property to Netflix when you're starting a streaming service? That makes zero sense. And especially when you have DC streaming and you sell off. Now, I know Neil Gaiman's got some say in it, but DC owns the property. Okay. I mean, unless they signed it off, they might have done that. I don't know. Because I know the rights of Transmetropolitan are kind of wobbly too, but they belong to DC. But I'm not allowed to talk about that. Yeah, there's something kind of funky with them. Yeah, so I don't know. Where will there be a Lord of the Liberal Rings and Lord of the Conservative Rings? DJ Bowman, maybe. Or maybe there won't be a Lord because it's too patriarchal. So it'll be a person of the rings or a lady of the rings because we're going to subvert expectations. My next video talks about that. My next video is about whether or not Game of Thrones prequel is going to be woke. And there's something about the title of the new show that I believe everybody is missing. So, okay. What's up, Sadukar, 7th Legion? Let's make sure we didn't miss any super chats because that would be bad. Again, I meant to live stream earlier and then I completely forgot Spider-Man opened today and I'm at the gym and I'm like, oh, today's the 2nd. Oh shit, I got to go to a movie in 2 hours. So I called Junior. He was happy. He did not like it though. He was angry afterwards. I'm like, dude, don't take it so seriously. He's like, no, man, I'm so sick of it. He loves Spider-Man. He said, Neurotic Jr., who, because he's on the spectrum, has like this photographic memory of certain things and will like be obsessed in the stuff. I'm saying it quietly because he's right out the door. But his comic knowledge now, I will put it up with any guy 40 years old and older when it comes to DC. I'll put him up against anybody now. He is amazing with that stuff. So he's watching the Spider-Man stuff and his Marvel knowledge is pretty damn good too. And he's like, it looks like they're copying the Dan Slott run on that one. And then they copied that from Spectacular Spider-Man and that from Spectacular Spider-Man. So Spectacular Spider-Man is his favorite. He thinks that's the best version of Spider-Man ever. I don't entirely disagree with him on that, to be honest with you. But he was not happy with this movie. I'll tell you that right now. I'm like, yeah, it might go up to a 7 out of 10. It won't get past that, but I know I'm probably being hard on it. 007 Cloud, $2. I'm Spidey purist. Ask Jeff from World Class Bullshitter. Hate Spider-Man Homecoming. Oh, I do too. Right there with you, buddy. This is better than Homecoming. It is. But it's not, if you're a purist, you're not going to like it. You're just not going to like it. It's tolerable. I'll just say it's tolerable if you watch it as an MCU movie, but it's hard to do if you're Spider-Man. There's a couple of things they got kind of right. There's a couple of Easter eggs that are pretty fantastic. And then there's something that's going to make your head explode. There's a couple things that are going to make your head explode if you're a Spider-Man purist. Remember when Sam Raimi got all the criticism for taking off, Toby taking off his mask all the time? He's got nothing on Tom Holland. Tom Holland's just beep, taking. I mean, like, why wear it at this point? Yes, name correct. Free online. Look it up. I will, Peter. I'll look it up. Thanks for the Australian $2. I absolutely will. Kenneth LaRocca for Canadian $5. My favorite series is Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. I hope they never try to turn it into a movie or series. I mean, honestly, with any of your properties, you are best off with your source material and pray they don't F it up. That's all we can do right now. Like Hitchhiker, I don't think they'll ever try Hitchhiker again. And I'm happy about that. I've got the radio show. I've got the books. That's all I need. With Spider-Man, I don't even have the comics anymore because the new ones suck. And I know they've turned it around and I don't care because one more day still effing counts. And J.J. Abrams, I mean, they think so much of Spider-Man, they let J.J. Abrams' kid take it over. Let's let that sink in. I mean, listen, there's part of me as a dad says that's cool. He pulled some strings to get his son to write Spider-Man. And then there's the rest of me, the responsible adult that realizes what a fracking horrible message that sends to that kid. I mean, it was terrible. You tell your kid you want to write Spider-Man, go bring Dan Slott his coffee for a couple of years. Like, earn it. But no, JJ rolls in, pulls some strings, and hopefully the kid's level-headed. I got nothing against him whatsoever. But yeah, you wonder how so many kids spin out of control in Hollywood and end up in rehabs. You know, I ended up in a rehab with Charlie Sheen in 1990. Betty Ford Center. True story. Eddie Van Halen was there too, but he never made it. He never made it out of the waiting room. Valerie Bertinelli and him bailed, and he was wasted. Let's go. Chris Persia, Canadian $20 to go to whatever Junior wants since he has his head on straight. To go to whatever Junior wants since he has his head on straight. Okay, gotcha. Yes, he does. Neurotic Junior has his head on straight. So thank you. To go to New York. Okay, I can read. So the $20 from Canada goes towards Neurotic Junior because he's got his head on straight. Done, my friend. Thank you very much. That will get passed on to Neurotic Junior. That will go into his Thanos fist piggy bank, and I greatly appreciate it. Trooper Bear FN 2525 $5 sent some pics of full racks of Captain Marvel Blu-rays disc not selling on your Twitter. Enjoy. Let's before I go, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Yeah, I had some as well. I went to a boutique Target. A boutique Target. We have a ton of them here in San Francisco. So they're like mini Targets. They're like Walgreens. And they don't carry a lot of Blu-rays, but they had Captain Marvel Blu-rays, like just like little displays filled. I went back there 3 days later, still filled. Went back there 6 days later, still filled. Nobody's buying this disc. So your boy Armin, who was on ComboCast 2, who did a video saying there was record digital sales. Where's your receipt for that, brah? I need to see a receipt for that. And Tom let me know from Midnight's Edge like how the Blu-ray sold, and of course it sold well, but it didn't break any records. But I think your boy Armin was saying it was. So just, show proof when you say stuff like that. Okay, where was I? Oh, I'm going to my DMs. I'm going to my DMs. Thanks, Dr. Venkman. That's awesome. Sorry. He sends me a message like mysterious UFO right over Kim Jong-il. Oh my God. Brittany from Apnos. I totally forgot about you. I suck. Hang on. Sorry, that was live on the air. Somebody might want to sponsor me. It's the first. I've got another person. There's a person out there who wants to sponsor. I'm looking into it. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm very picky. Like, I don't like sponsors are awesome, but I'm really picky. I'm really, 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 really picky. So I mostly, it's awesome that somebody thinks I can help their company, but I almost don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't know. Maybe it's me, especially since in the very near future, I'm going to be asking for money. Where do you send it to my DMs? I sent you. Okay, I'm accepting that one. Is it the same name? Hang on. It's like, if you send something in my Twitter DMs and you have a different handle on Twitter than you do on YouTube, you let me know that, because I have thousands of DMs. Get ready for Eternals to retroactively kill the MCU, says Heroic Avenger 96 for $2. I totally agree. It's going to be a freaking hot ass mess. Try and picture a woke remake of Life Force, Jolton Burrow. Well, it'll be a guy walking around, right? Like, who's going to watch that? Nobody. Okay, I can't find it. D&D questions for Comic Cons. Is this it right here? No. No, I don't see anything Captain Marvel. Oh, that's interesting. I can't find it. What? Well, okay. Okay, so it's Trooper Bear. Where are you, Trooper Bear? It's Astrobot 702. Okay, thanks. There we go. Astrobot 702. And you said it on Twitter, right? Well, there's one way to find out. Sorry, folks. Give me just a second. There it is. Bum, bum. Yep. Yep. It's all, and I'll compare it with mine. So you get like a row of Captain Marvel, and it's all there. Nobody's buying this crap, and you're getting the 4K ones too. I just want to. Oh goddamn! I just wanted the picture. There we go. So there you go. And then I can show mine, which were, where's the media? Where did mine go? I'm not understanding this new Twitter very well. It doesn't matter. I got to take off anyway. There was lots of Captain Marvel stuff on the shelf. You know what? I'll go back there tomorrow and I'll be able to take video of it. Thanks, man. Yeah, and please send those, because I eventually guess I could do a video on that. That'd be kind of funny. Nightmare Gamer for $1.99. What they did to Toy Story? What did they do to Toy Story 4? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. And you know what sucks is I asked Nerdrotic Jr. I'm like, you want to see it in the theaters? He's all, nah. I'm like, wow. So I don't know. I heard it was okay, but then I heard some people say it was woke. So I have no idea. God, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing is sacred anymore. That's why I'm worried about The Expanse season 4, to be honest with you. I grew up in the 60s Spider-Man reruns during the 90s. Holland's a good actor, but he doesn't match the nerd look. He fit the role of Twink in my books, though. Criminal Imagination, Canadian $5. Yes. He's too pretty. And Peter's awkward. Toby was actually kind of perfect for the role. Toby was Peter Parker. He was an excellent choice. My hope is someday, because Toby's young, that they do a Spider-Man 4. I would love to see that. I think everybody would love to see that. And Sony could do that tomorrow. But thing is, with Tom Rothman in charge, probably not. But I think it would be fun. And let Sam do what Sam wants to do, but don't have Sam write the movie. Okay? Get another script writer, a good one, and let Sam direct it. Sam Raimi, I'm talking about. Because he wrote Spider-Man 3. Him and his bra. So no writing, directing, yes. Get Toby, get Kirsten Dunst, get them all back together. Except no Power Ranger goblins or skater bra goblins. I want them to look like fracking goblins. That Taskmaster costume, which I think is the Taskmaster for Black Widow, man, that looks bad. I hope there's some CG going with that. I really do. Love those 60s Spider-Man reruns. And what happened to the theme song? They put it in Homecoming and they didn't do it in Far From Home. I think some people are going to be disappointed now that I think about it with Far From Home. There's an aspect that you will be disappointed in, because I am. The more I'm thinking about it, yeah, I might have to add that into my video. Okay, everybody, I do have to go, but I will be back on tomorrow at noon. There's 2 videos coming out. Please go to nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. If you sign up for Patreon, you're going to get daily half-hour live streams. That's a new thing. That's also on Subscribestar. So if you don't like Patreon, you can go to Subscribestar, $1 each, or just subscribe here. You don't have to give any money. Your time is more valuable. Actually, time is way more valuable because you can't get that back. So thank you for spending it with me. I love live streaming. I love live streaming with y'all. You're freaking great. Thank you to my mods. So we had Penn Farm Girl. We had Chris Persia. Today we had Christy Miller. Of course, we have DJ D show out there. We have Mark Lazurth. We have there's Mark right there. We have Mark Lazurth. We have the Cinema Queen. We have so many that I've actually lost track of how many I have. Oh, mods, by the way, I would like to speak Saturday or Sunday. We can do a hangout. Talk about the future. Talk about the future. Cosmic Confusion. You got exactly what I'm talking about. That is coming later. All right, everybody, have a great day, and may this free folk sing songs of your greatness.